Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Still having a few technical issues to do with things, but hopefully one way or another you get to see this. It's either on YouTube or it's going to be on the proper hosting channel. Anyway, let's carry on. Now just have a reminder about where we got to last time. If you remember, we put in this little bit of code here, which basically warns us or alerts us if there's no orders present when we're trying to do our trailing stop. So it's very useful once we've been stopped out. We don't want to just leave the EA hanging because if we put a new order in, we may not actually want the EA applied at that point. So that's just to give us a warning. Just to remind you, the rest of the code, we had the modified trailing stop loops over all the orders, tries to get to the trailing stop level. If it can, it tries to modify the order. Here's the code for modifying the order. This is the code for getting the trailing stop level. Now, what I said last time is, at the moment we're just doing an N-bar trail, but there's all sorts of other ways you might want to do a trail. So what I'm going to do is change the code today so we can have a choice as to how we are going to do some trailing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is fiddle around with the inputs. At the moment, the only input is the N-bar trail length. So what we're going to have is a new input, which is going to be the trail type. Okay, and this is going to be a number to select what trail you might want, so just call that 1 for now. But I'll give you a little tip here. When you're writing code like this, you can't often always remember what your inputs are, so it's quite useful to be able to do something like this. So let's have a string input, it's called explanation, or just trail type options, trail type options equals. So shall we have 1 for a N-bar trail, and we'll have 2 for, should we have an SMA trail, and 3 for an EMA trail, and then we can add some other ones as we go along. So as we add things, we put the different options in there. So yeah, sorry. So the default trail is going to have 1 for a moment, which is going to be the N-bar trail. Okay, so we've now got a trail type. That means at some point we are going to need to use that information. Okay, now there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either, you're obviously going to need to pass the trail type needs to get into the code here, and it's this get trailing stop level, which is where we're going to actually make that decision. Now, the simplest way, which is the way I'll do it for now, is just to use access the global variable from within the code here. Let me just explain what I mean by that. These global variables, sorry, I spelled options wrong there. These global variables, and also I want to change the capitalization. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. These variables up here, as I think I said before, you can see them anywhere in the code. So, sorry, a bit of breakfast still stuck in my throat there. So down here, I can actually access the value of that variable. And I'm not really sure if there's a reason why you might want to instead pass it in and pass it through, all these kind of things. I know I think in previous videos I've expressed a slight preference for passing through, but what I'm going to do for now is just access the variable directly. Now, all this code here in the get trailing stop thing, this is all specifically to do with an N-bar trail. So what I'm going to do is make a new function, get N-bar trail stop level. Okay, I'm going to give it the same input parameters. In fact, what I'm going to do is copy all that and shove it in there. Okay, so get N-bar trail level now has all that information, which means that this bit here is now going to be the bit where we decide which of our trailing methods we're going to use, and we're going to introduce you to a new programming concept, something called the switch, which, as you might guess, is something which switches between various options. Okay, and it goes something like this: switch. Okay, and then in the brackets you put the thing you're switching on, which in this case is going to be the trail type. So this is the thing we're going to use to decide which type of trail we're going to do. Okay, and then you have some curly brackets, and then you have all the various options which are called cases. Okay, so case 1, which I'm going to just make a comment here to remind myself what it is. Let me just copy this down so I can remember it. Now, I don't know whether I mentioned this actually, but these 2 slashes like that, that's a comment. So anything there, a compiler will just ignore. Okay, so you can write comments anywhere. So I'm just doing that as a reminder. So 1 is an n-bar trail. Okay, so this will be a reminder there. Okay, and then case 2 is going to be an SMA trail. In case 3, it's going to be EMA trail, and we can, oops. Okay, so the other thing you need to know is you can put some code in here, just in this bit here, but at the end of it you have to put something called a break statement, and that break statement says I've finished with this case and I'm now going to leave the switch. Okay, and if you don't do that, then the case 1 will run on to case 2. And so on. And sometimes you actually want to do that. If for several cases you're going to take the same course of action. But in this case, pardon the pun, we're not. Okay, so now what I can do now is just call my get n-bar trail for the trail thing. So now I'm passing in all the parameters here that are coming into this function. We need to pass straight through to here. Okay. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so it's going to call that. Now this function returns true if it worked and false if it didn't. Okay, and we basically want to do that. So we're just going to, in fact, return that because there's nothing else we need to do, which actually makes this break statement redundant because it's never get to it if it's going to return there. Okay, so basically if it selects in this trail type, if it's 1, it goes here, goes into this function here, passing in these parameters here into there. So then it runs our code in the usual way, and then it just returns with whatever value. So basically, if we've got trail type 1, the code hasn't actually changed, which is of course what we want because the code was working perfectly adequately before. So it's just going in there. But what we're going to have, though we haven't written it yet, is a get SMA trail stop level here, which is going to be something like, it's going to be get SMA trail stop level, and here we're going to have a get EMA trail stop level. Okay, so we're going to have 2 new functions we're going to need to write. Okay, we'll leave that for another session. So there you go. Compile the code. It won't have made any difference to the thing, so I won't bother actually demonstrating it today. There. So we've now expanded the thing, made it more flexible, so we can start adding different trailing stop types. And there's no limit to what you can add here. We can have a trail SMAs, EMAs. Also had some something based on the Ichimoku cloud or whatever it is. So tin can. I can't remember the names of it, but there was a trail on one of those levels. You can trail on an oscillator level. You can trail on sort of any kind of exotic average or anything you want. So this is getting to be a quite flexible way of now managing your positions. Okay, so there you go. As always, any questions or suggestions or comments, do let me know. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye for now.